Okay, so we have another call. You're calling from the 716, Kevin. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Where is the 716?
716 is right outside of Buffalo, New York.
Outside of Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
How many feet of snow is there currently in Buffalo? Or
Actually, it's quite balmy here. We've had a sort of a weird fall. It was really cold, and now it's actually quite nice.
Okay. So, Kevin, you know the rules. You got a minute to pitch. You want to get right into it.
Okay.
And this is a pretty good chance for you because you've invested in what? 12, 15 companies?
Right.
And why do you angel invest? I got to ask that question.
A couple of reasons. One is the proverbial passing the torch on.
Right.
So, somebody invested in Price Grabber or my success in the past. So that's one. But also you look at it and say, hey, I made zillions of dollars for other people. I wonder if they can do it for me. And
right.
Of course, it turns out it's not so easy. But so there is a little bit of greed and a little bit of,
virtuousness.
Virtuous, yeah. So it's a combination of both.
Well said. So you've got two angel investors right here. Let's hear your pitch.
Okay.
Let's hear your pitch.
Okay, so the idea I'm going to pitch to you today is called PICK, P-I-K-K, and you can take a look at it at pick.com. And so PICK is a social news site, and instead of it lets users submit news stories, and instead of just asking them to vote those stories up or down, it lets you ask the readers an opinion about the story. So in addition to submitting a link and a little write-up about the story, you also submit two choices that the readers can vote from. So, for example, you might submit a story on a startup and ask thrive or fail, or you might submit the latest XKCD cartoon and ask funny or lame. And so every vote counts to pushing the story up to the front page. You can also bury, that kind of thing. And every story is tagged, so you can follow stories of interest. The other half of PICK is if you're a blogger, you can use PICK to embed a poll on your webpage. So if you want to engage your readers, if you're writing about something and you want to ask their opinion, you can ask a simple two-question poll, and those votes get registered back on pick.com. And the more votes your readers vote on, that pushes it up to the front page, and then because it's on the front page, you get traffic back to your blog. So those are the two basic elements of PICK.
Okay.
And then there's some social elements as well. So you can make friends on PICK. You can nudge each other to vote on your story. You can send private messages back and forth. You can watch stories. If there's a story that's on the front page and you want to see how it winds up a couple days from now, if it's long gone, you can watch it. And then you can watch users. So, Jason, if you were going to submit a story and I watch you, every story you submit shows up in a section called My Pick. And so it's basically a social voting site, but instead of just promoting up and down, it asks for readers' opinions. So that's PICK in a nutshell.
Great. Okay. So right off the bat, your pitch was solid. You were very clear about what it was. I understood what you were saying. You didn't use too many buzzwords. You said a social news site, which is like Dig. And I think you may have even mentioned Dig in there. And you said each story has a survey added to it, or two, where you can not just vote for it, but you could say, do you approve of something or do you object to something? So for here on the screen, I have the 15-year-old will be tried as an adult for killing a 9-year-old, approve or object. And so what I immediately thought of is this is like a Dig, but better, which is always good when you have a feature that's clever. So you have a clever feature. I think adding a survey to each story is better than voting. And it reminded me of SurveyMonkey was the other thing that came to mind, which, by the way, is one of the top 100 sites in the United States, has probably 15 million unique visitors. And Dave Goldberg, who formerly was of Launch, which he sold to Yahoo, is now CEO of it. Yeah. And that company makes money from charging for surveys. They have like premium products. So you're aware of SurveyMonkey.
Yes.
So I looked at the fact that it was a clear presentation. You got me engaged. So I give you points for that. I'd say it's your presentation's like a 7 or an 8. It wasn't anything in there that was mind blowing. You didn't blow my mind, but you also didn't blow it. So that's good.
Okay.
So that's good. I mean, the idea itself and the execution, which I'm looking at right now, is good. You've got something started. I'm not in love with it, but I don't hate it. So as Cameron was saying before, like you have to get it off the ground and start going. This shows me that you did something.
Right.
So Cameron, what did you think of his pitch? how he did in that 60 seconds, and what do you think of the idea?
Right. So the pitch was great, to your point. I understood everything. Believe it or not, there are a lot of people who pitch things and just like, and they use a lot of buzzwords and it's like, and they think I know all that stuff, and like, it didn't make any sense to me. You have to go over it all over again. Not the case. Your pitch was good. But it's like you said, this is a feature. And I look at it and say, there is a 8,000-pound gorilla here called Dig that has all this stuff. How
right.
difficult is it for them to add one more feature to it? If it gets traction, they're going to say, this is great, let us do this as well.
Yeah.
Your chance is to get enough traction that by then you're big, there's a buzz around you, and then therefore you already are off the ground and can give them competition. But it's tough when there's somebody that big. It becomes quite tough to knock them down. Having said that, you have the site up. How long have you had it up? What's the result? Are you getting any traction?
I've been working up on the site for a better part of 6 months. I haven't gotten much traction, but I've had sort of a hard time getting people to notice it because you're in a sea of all these other startups, and then people are quick to dismiss another social news site until you don't really get a chance to explain the whole thing. I've gotten some traction. You can see there's a couple of stories there that are over 100 votes. Most of the stories are 5 or 10 or 15 votes is what they wind up with, but. I did exactly those. Your words, Cameron, resonate with me. That's exactly what I did. I wanted to get something started and get it off the ground to sort of see if it got some traction before I went and took it to the next stage. So I've gotten some good traction, but not great.
Are you a developer?
I am.
Okay, so you're a developer, and so you built it all yourself?
Yep.
And what did your parents do for a living?
My dad was an emergency room doctor, actually.
Cool. And mom, did she work?
My mom she worked in his office a little bit, but she sort of gave up. She was a teacher, but she gave up her career. I have 7 brothers and sisters, so she spent her
and
career.
What did you do before this? How old are you?
I just turned 40 a couple weeks ago, actually, and cool. I've been doing software development for my entire career.
Yeah. So I just ask you those things because I've heard VCs say they like a certain type of person to invest in. Right. And I just wanted to get an idea of where you were coming from. Having blue-collar parents, immigrants, I've heard VCs say that's what they look for. So I was just curious, because I also saw that you put your site on Hacker News, which is news.ycombinator.com. And you're an older guy, but you know about Hacker News, which to me speaks volumes that you know where the buzz is, Hacker News, and you know what Y Combinator is, the incubator.
Right.
And you posted your thing in there and asked people to review your site. So you've sent me additional signals of quality. You called into the show, you had a good pitch, you executed well, you have a pretty groovy idea. You described your idea as Pick is Dig meets Pole Daddy, which, interestingly enough, is exactly how I described it, except I use SurveyMonkey, which is the same thing. It's Coke and Pepsi. So that shows what a good job you did pitching. So at this point, and you're a developer for a long time, which I like too. So it's not like you have to you're just like a guy with an idea, because guy with an idea means nothing, unless they have a lot of money or connections or domain expertise. So I guess the logical next step here is, what is the business here? Is the business that you're going to build software and provide it to the Huffington Post maybe and sell it? Is the idea here, you're going to build a destination site, which means you're going to need to be able to generate a lot of buzz and have a better name and a better design? Are you going to pick a vertical? You go after 10 verticals? What's your business idea? Are you up to that yet?
Well, I'm focusing on getting users right now, obviously, but there's a couple of business ideas. One is to generate revenue with some premium services, so you can place your poll higher, for example, if you want to get a lot of traffic. The other opportunity is there's so much nice data here. We know so much about every person, about what they like, what they think is funny, what they think is stupid, what they think will do well. And I think there's an opportunity for advertising, specifically CPA revenue. I also think there's an opportunity for inline advertising. So Dig and Reddit and StumbleUpon are doing this, and I think it's much more interesting for Coca-Cola, for example, to ask, what do you prefer, Coke or Cherry Coke, than just having someone have an ad that's vote. What does it mean to vote for an ad? It doesn't really mean anything, but I think there's some opportunities to get some sponsorship and basically engage with the audience.
Interesting. So the reason people will ask you that business question is not because they necessarily care, but they want to hear how you're thinking.
Right.
Like, I really don't care as far as like as an investor. I mean, I care in a certain way, but if I'm investing in you, I assume you're a smart guy who's going to follow his nose and figure out if selling it to somebody or building a destination site is better, which is the better business. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. So that was a good answer. Any other questions or thoughts on it?
No, I think the only thing is maybe another opportunity is contacting some of the publishers and see if you can integrate your technology or be a technology provider to them while you're building your own destination. I'm not saying become an infrastructure provider, because I don't know if that's a very successful business in the long run, but I think it could be another way to just get some more legs out there. Stick with it. I think just try to improve it. One feature difference is just not going to, it's not going to do it. You really have to think a little broader than that, but it is great that you have the site up. It looks good. It looks professional, for a startup, and I think that you have a good start. So keep at it. Yeah,
you have a pretty good start. Great. I think everybody should follow you on Twitter. Obviously, PIKK. You have that up and running, and you have a 4-letter domain name. These are again signals of quality for me. You have a decent domain name, decent web design. I'm not crazy about your web design, to be totally honest. I think it's like a 7 or 8 out of 10. But listen, Mahalo was a 6 out of 10 at one point, and now it's a 10 out of 10. So it's progress, and I can appreciate that. Smart enough to pick a 4-letter domain, great. How did you get the domain? Was that available? You bought it?
I bought it.
Yeah. How much did that cost you?
I've been told I got the bargain of the century. This cost me about $2,500.
That's a great deal for a 4-letter domain. That actually is pretty easy to remember and whatnot. Matt Coffin said last week on the program that distribution was one of the key things he's looking for. How are you going to get this product distributed? And I think that's going to be one of your challenging questions. But we're going to be watching you closely. And where are you based?
Buffalo.
Buffalo, right. Ouch.
Yep.
You need to shuffle out of there.
We have a bad reputation. It's actually a wonderful place here.
No, I know. I've been to Buffalo. It's a wonderful place, I know, but for a technology company, it's kind of hard.
I know.
So, but listen, Flickr came out of Canada. I mean, if this thing is successful, at a certain point, you're going to have to move out of Buffalo, and to get investment, the only way to get investment in Buffalo is to go to like one of the companies, Barrister Information Systems or something like that up there. That there's a couple of technology companies up there, right? Is Corning still up there in Buffalo?
Corning is a couple hours away. No, they're a couple hours away, but it's in the same area.
Yeah, so if you can find some rich people who are in Corning and want to have an internet bug, maybe you can get them to invest. But other than that, you're going to be slim pickings, and you have to have somebody who is in glass investing in your internet company. Not a great combination.
Well, there are some examples if you think about it. Will Schroeder of Afforded, he had a couple of successful ones in Ohio, I think.
Yeah, it can happen.
But then he moved out here eventually.
Yes.
So I guess he decided not to fight the rising tide.
That's the thing is when you have to you're swimming against the tide.
It's tough. Yeah.
Finding people, buzz, like your thing that you said was the toughest for you, getting buzz, getting people to recognize it.
Yep.
I mean, it's an uphill battle. But another idea I had, though, which I don't know if I should tell you now or off the air, because I think is it okay if I tell you off the air, because I think it's a differentiator and I don't want to say it on air?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so my cell phone, or tell Alex to get me on the phone, and I'll talk to you after the show.
Okay, thanks.
It's a really good idea I have, but I don't. If I, you know what I'm saying, Tyler? If I say it on the show, somebody's going to steal it, and I want you to get it out first. Okay, we'll talk later. Great job.